Just give us one more minute and then we'll directly start with all of you. Great. All right, hope that all of you guys are doing good in those times, that all of you are healthy, and thanks a lot, obviously, for joining into today's session. I would say we can directly start the session just with a very short intro of DueDash, why we're here today, what the DueDash Cologne Sparing Ring is designed for. And then I'm happy to also let Christian and Ben, our speakers and experts for today's session on growth hacking, introduce themselves. So I would directly start with a very short intro of what we do here. Just do a quick screen share for this as well. So yeah, again, our goal here at DueDash is to help startups become investable. So what we mean by that is with our DueDash community that I hope the majority of you are already part of, and if not, obviously feel free to join it because it's all for free. We try to bring together founders, investors, experts, and all those other peoples from across the world that belong to the startup ecosystem, bring them together in a community to educate on all the startup, but especially the fundraising related processes in order to help startups become investable by building a business from the very early on with a focus on what do I need in order to get the needed funding at the end of the point to really scale your business as well. So this is what we do at DueDash in general. We have a variety of offers that we provide to you, lots of opportunities. The majority of them are for free, so you can join and list events like the one today. You can actually find your co-founders, search for co-founders, also employees across the world, but also in your own area. You can strengthen and engage with a network in your city, but across the world as well. I think our speaker, Christian, here today can definitely tell you a bit more about this type of networking and also how to make use for it in terms of growth hacking. And also, especially for everyone who's interested and currently already in fundraising mode, we do have this free investment readiness check through which you can gain up to 25,000 in startup credits. So feel free to have a look at that. As you can see, there's also different ways we can support you on top of that. But I just want to give you a brief overview that you have an idea of what you can expect from DueDash in general. Because today we have an event on the DueDash Cologne Founder Sparing Ring. So we are already in 16 cities across the world where we have city leaders that are taking care of the local community building. Because whereas we're building a global community with a specific purpose of helping startups become investable, there's individual challenges in each city across the world. And here in Cologne, we really want to help young founders coming out of university as well to directly get on that entrepreneurial journey and help them succeed from the beginning on by providing all the resources and the knowledge that they need to survive. If you have interest or if you have any questions, obviously you can feel free to reach out to either me or my colleague Michael. Join our local founder sparing ring on DueDash. And this brings us already into today's session, which is on growth hacking through marketing. And in the last month, because the monthly theme on our DueDash platform is growth hacking to gain traction, and with the Cologne Sparing Ring, we kind of took a separate approach and have a specific focus on how marketing can help you in that. But generally, we ask on our platform, who is responsible for growth in your company? And as you can see, 84% of all people say the founding team has to take care of. And then looking at what percentage of your day they are spending on growth activities, it's good to see that the majority of people say 50% of the day I'm spending on growth activities. I hope that's the truth, because as an overall team, you should always look at how to build your business, how to grow it even faster. And that being said, today, I would already like to stop my screen share here, because this is what I have, or what we have invited our two speakers, Christian Hitzbleck and Ben Zofiani, for our session, because they are the ones that you should ask when you have a question on how to growth hack your business. And maybe I would like to start from the founder side. Christian, maybe you want to give an introduction about yourself, your background on growth hacking, and then happy to hear more about you, Ben.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Michael, for inviting me. I think we've known each other now for 2 or 3 years, and always a pleasure to see you. Well, and hi to all of you. My name is Christian Hitzblack, and well, what I found for myself almost 6 years ago, what was my biggest passion, and what I also think that I have a quality in, is bringing people together. And I started out basically sponsoring different kinds of events in the student city of Cologne, where I live, and just did different kinds of events. And in 2016, I founded my first startup called Jam Connect, which is pretty much which was, it's not longer existent. It was a urban community for artists and dancers that basically looked for the connections in the professional music world, like managers, producers, and venue providers. And we basically built the platform and the network for those urban artists. And there was a very fun time with a lot of very interesting and fun events, but it was very hard to monetize these events and this company or this kind of target audience. So then in 2018, almost 3 years ago, I I basically asked myself the question, what is it that I want to do, and where do I want to go? And I think I also talked to Ben about this in this time, because I had the idea to just get a group of 7 to 8 people, of other like-minded entrepreneurs that I just wanted to have a regular interaction with, and to talk to about my current challenges, and just to have this group, this mastermind group. And I think many of you might be familiar with the term mastermind or the mastermind group. And what I've seen in my research is that there are a lot of masterminds out there, but there's no specific brand or company that organizes mastermind groups professionally. So what my idea was almost 3 years ago was to create a community, a movement of entrepreneurs and leaders that want to make a difference in the world somehow, and are also on their journey of doing it. So have already started out and have employees and have and are leaders in some kind of way. And that's what I did. And now, almost 3 years later, we've welcomed almost 300 exclusive uh, people, entrepreneurs and leaders to our groups and to our events. And yeah, basically what we do is we match these people in small peer groups of 4 to 8 participants. Then we organize those meetings, and we facilitate them professionally. And yeah, this is what we do and what my background is. And to the topic of growth hacking, I just told the others that I just hold a keynote about the topic of smart networking, and I would say that my biggest strength is to really use my network efficiently, and I've built my business, and 80 to 90% of my customers that I now have are a product of my own network, and I have a lot of specific details that maybe we can go into later in the Q&A. But for me, growth hacking is basically in this time where online marketing gives you all the opportunity and advantages out there. I still think that having your own network, and using this network effectively can be a very effective growth hack that you can use. And yeah, this is my understanding of growth hacking.
Thanks a lot, Christian. So as you guys can already see, if you have questions, especially in relation to how to use your network, also your own network, or how to use networking in general for growth hacking, Christian for sure has some answers for you. Generally, before I let Ben introduce himself, please feel free to already start posting all the questions you have at heart into the chat here, because we will pick up those questions right after Ben has done his introduction, so that we can really provide you the value in this session by answering the individual questions that you can now ask people that are really working in this space. So Ben, also happy to hear your introduction. Let the people know what they can ask from you.
All right, guys. Hi, I'm Ben. I'm fond of Pirate Skills. Pirate Skills is my startup number 8. I've done a couple of fun ones, like a mobile app that helps you to become a better Counter-Strike player. No joke, has over 1 million downloads, and I don't know why. I now am fully committed to go as deep as I possibly can into the topic of growth marketing. I'm an incredibly curious human being. I studied psychology because I thought like understanding why humans do what they do is the most important thing. And that translated really well into the world of marketing and startups. So if you have questions regarding like how to set up your content marketing strategy, how to build a web and email funnel, how to drive traffic from like Facebook and LinkedIn, how to analyze that traffic, all that kind of bit of more nerdy marketing stuff, I'm very open to do that. And it would be, yeah, as Michael already said, super helpful to see your questions in the chat. Put up my LinkedIn in there if you want to connect. And I got introduced to the whole mastermind thing that Christian talked about when I was 16, where I lived a year in the States. There I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. That book was like the stone that was thrown into the pond, and all the waves came up from there. And now I'm much more in the direction of this beautiful book, Hacking Growth by Sean Ellis. He signed it very thankfully when he was here in Cologne to visit us. And yeah, I definitely want to hear what you guys are doing and where your growth challenges are, so Christian and I can really dig in and help you.
Perfect. Thanks, both of you, for your introduction. I think that should give everybody a good sense of what type of questions they can address to each one of you. Again, feel free to just put them in the post in the chat. For the beginning, I'll just pick up directly the question that was asked here by Michael himself, because you touched upon that, Ben, in your introduction. How did you scale your Counter-Strike downloads to over 1 million? So did you already start growth hacking at this point in time to get there?
Yeah, we started at the idea stage. We were a team of 6 people. We had an investor from Belgium here who was the founder of Pornhub, which was quite fun to get some insights into that. And we tested a lot of ideas. Like I built landing pages over landing pages, like 150 over those 2 years. And one of them was the stupid idea of, why don't we do what Runtastic is doing for sports, just for esports? Yeah, that was the general idea. I didn't believe in it, but the user response was insane. We always had just a fixed budget. I couldn't spend more than $1,000 per idea if it got to that stage. And we needed to have 1,000 email subscribers before anyone was allowed to write a line of code. So that was the first growth hack, I would say, that I started at the idea stage and didn't compromise to follow up on a second-rate idea. Then we built the app. In the first stage, it was just 2 weeks of coding, and it was in the App Store. Why did we do it so hardcore? Because we wanted to see how people interacted with the app, what actually drives not only installs, but retention. Because retention is, over time, if you have an app that is supposed to be used frequently, I think the most important thing for growth hacking: retention and referrals. Yeah. And then the main install driver was YouTube. YouTube advertising was incredibly cheap. So we made a really, like, one developer did like a fun video over the weekend with some Final Cut edits, nothing professional. And I promoted that on YouTube through YouTube ads in front of other gamer channels. So other people talk about Counter-Strike. And so I put that ad in front of them, and we had like a 12 cent per install, and we had a customer lifetime value of roughly 17 cents. So we could keep on spending money over there. And then the organic stuff grew. So that's the long and short of it.
Very interesting. Thanks, Ben, for that invite or for that insight that you gave here. One of the players out there in the market that you touched upon, they're actually one of the most creative, to be honest, when it comes down. And one of the main drivers of videos, when you touch upon Pornhub, people might smile in the very first second, but they've actually brought so many features into video streams that other big players like YouTube started adapting themselves, because
like
they're
related
really
videos.
Huh?
That guy that was the investor, he invented related videos, so that you're being brought from one video that you're watching to other ones. They had it before YouTube.
Talking about retention, I would say.
Yeah,
and you said with your
and I'm sure he would have done great in whichever field he would have entered, not just adult stuff.
But, it's very good to see, as you said, just from that very first answer right away, growth hacking is something that you shouldn't drop on your journey. It's something that you start in the beginning, and it should be part of your DNA, really, when you bring out a new product, when you launch a new service. So maybe, Christian, I directly want to direct this to you as well. How did you go about very first growth hacking techniques through networking specifically? Because I know from our talks also before that you've done lots of social networking or smart networking as well. So how does this smart net? Can you? Okay, maybe. Okay, he has to just go. So we park it for a second, where he's back. Are you back? Okay, maybe you share a bit on how your perception is on your very first processes that you implemented in terms of growth hacking through marketing, for example, through smart networking.
Well, I would maybe tell a story of how I started out in 2018, when I had a pretty big network from all the activities I've been doing before, but more in the student sector. But over the years, I've just gotten to know a lot of different kind of people, and what I've then did is basically made a list of basically the top 30 entrepreneurs out of those 3,000 people I got to know personally. I just made a list of who are the 30 top people that I want to invite into my groups, and this is basically how I started. I then made 6 pro bono test groups, like five groups of 6 people, I think, where I just showed them the principle and made it like a 6-hour workshop where they really got a lot of value out of it, and they started to invite their network into the movement, basically, and this would be like my growth hack, or more I would frame it that I think there is so much unused potential in the network of your guys' network. So like I think when you have one person that really believes in you and in your mission, and he is willing to share and to open his network, there's so many opportunities in that, and can be a very, very good multiplier.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that's just interesting to see, because sometimes growth hacking, as you can see, does not always start with scaling from the very first second on, but sometimes also have a smaller group. I think Michael our co-founder here, has also wrote an article about how ambassadorship, so the ones that you really start small, can help you growth hack your community as well when we talk about growing user numbers, because you need a small foundation of people that become an ambassador of what you do, and it multiplies like a snowball effect at some point. So that's a good kind of comparison of 1 million versus let's go for small groups of 5. Generally speaking, there was a question by Ashwaran asking on specifically to Ben in that regard, how do you select and finalize the target groups to do smart marketing? So in that regard, I mean, for example, with the Counter-Strike, you had a specific target group, but I know from building sales funnel, how deep you actually go in identifying and really nailing it down to the smallest demographics or behavior of your users. So maybe you want to share a bit about that.
Who asked the question again?
Ashwaran, maybe you want to quickly unmute yourself. And
who's your audience? Then we can do it precisely for you.
Hi, I'm Ishwa. So the question was more or less, let me make it simple. Your audience is quite big. You are targeting biggest players who play Counter-Strike.
Your audience, I'm curious.
Yeah, our audience. So more or less, how do you target to have a smart marketing? Whom do you target, or how do you prioritize yourself?
I'll answer that, but who do you want to reach?
The people who play, that's what I would say.
Okay, so I'll keep it broad. So there are a couple of ways to find target groups. What I personally like the most in the beginning, at the moment, is the Facebook Audience Insights tool. If you have a Facebook ad account, you can dig into the audiences of related people. If I may share the screen, then I will just show you.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Marcus?
Yeah, absolutely. Give it a practical example here.
Cool. So you head over to your business manager on Facebook. It's a free thing. There, pick your account and enter something that is called, up here, Audience Insights. Here you go, Audience Insights. Everybody's Facebook looks a bit different at the moment, but you'll find the word Facebook Insights. And then you can start digging for your audience in the country that you're interested in. Where are you from?
I'm from India.
Yeah, let's take India instead of United States. USA is boring. Anyways, hopefully nobody from there is here. India. So now I can see the demographics of the people who are using Facebook in India. Yeah. I see it's 76% male, 24% female. But now I can ask different questions, like what do they like? Okay, and then you get the broad ideas of what people like, but what can you give me one level deeper of people, what they are supposed to be interested in your business? Is it actually gaming or is it something else?
More activities, or more or less what do you call it, as hobbies?
Yeah. Then let's just take the example of the one hobby, gaming. If I now enter gaming, I now see the selected demographics on Facebook. It's even more men than women. It has become way younger. You can see that it absolutely over indexes on 18 to 24-year-old, and you can guess that it's also very strong below 18. You can see that they are mostly single. And now you can again go a bit deeper and see what do they like, what websites do they follow, what influencers do they like, what magazines do they read. And this way, if you only look at the categories here on the left-hand side, what kind of sports fans are they? What communities do they follow? What blogs, what public figures do they stand behind? Then just take Facebook as inspiration and just use your brain as an extension. You will now come up with lots of ideas. Just here you have it very validated. And once you find something more specific, you can go in here and say like, okay, what if somebody who follows a specific company, let's say like Tesla, Tesla Motors or something like that. And then, oh, how does that change the interest groups, the demographics, etc.? So this is just as an example of one of my favorite ways to study my audience and to target them very precisely. You pretty much have the same thing on the Google side of things, but this is much more user-friendly.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And quick follow question. How do you decide from the, usually every application has a beta level and the final level. So before you target your final, as per your data analysis, you release the test version, right? That's how you did for yourself?
yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So first we had just a landing page.
I see.
Yeah.
And seeing the responses.
I think there's another question about this and I can expand on that later. Yeah. But thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. It was quite satisfying.
Thanks for the question also, Ben, for giving this practical example here. I mean, social media obviously has changed a lot on how we can approach people and how we can reach people and how we can get them engaged. And also, as Ben also kind of touched upon, and how to actually keep your audience with you on a daily basis, building those habits to come back and really be part of your community. And I think here Christian once again comes into play as well, because there's this question, especially in those, let's say in the times of COVID that we are right now in, expanding your network. How does it work? Like, how do you growth hack in a time where all businesses go digital? How can you distinguish yourself from that perspective, growing a network? Maybe you have some insights on that.
Yeah, I do. I would maybe add to my points that I was making before, that what I have done over the last 7 or 8 months, how long this COVID thing is on now, is that I've really looked at who is my existing network, and I've really had a lot of just phone calls with the people that I already knew, and just I just have counted usually per week in the last couple of weeks I'm having WhatsApp conversations with like 85 people, different people, just on WhatsApp. And this came by me just actively asking for referrals. Also in this, it can be like if you want to add your network for business purposes, specific referrals for potential clients can be very effective, but just also if you want to just make new friends, I think also there is so much potential, and I can only say it again, that's also I think the best contacts are from people that really know you and trust you and have a trusting relationship with you, and that refer you to friends or business partners of themselves. And so I hear this question a lot of how do I expand my network, and I know Ben is adding I think 50 LinkedIn contacts every day, I think it was, and I don't know, I think it should also happen. I don't think that it's a bad thing to grow your social media networks, but I think there's so much potential in who you guys already know, and to expand on that. So and what I've done basically is I also, which is what's my business, I've most of the people that I'm doing business with, I just print it out, and I have a magnet on here, and I have my whiteboard, and then I just see who are the most important people that I want to have contact with, and then I'm also doing this, using this for matching my groups. So yeah, I would answer this question with yeah, just talk to people and ask actively for specific referrals.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's once again interesting to see. I mean, and that also goes back to, right, there is no one way of growth hacking. There is not just this one way that you can really get more customers or get more users. Because if everybody would do the same growth hacks, then your growth hack wouldn't work. It's really about being unique and knowing what your strengths are, and then thereby generating the necessary leads. You also, Christian, touched upon LinkedIn, that Ben is somebody that uses LinkedIn in order to grow his audience. There was a question by Harish Kamat also for you specifically. Is LinkedIn really helpful for lead generation? Now you use it to add people to your network. How do you convert those users, and what do you do with the ones that you add to your LinkedIn?
Okay, so let me pick up where Christian left off. You first have to see, like, do you have a large or a small audience? If you want to develop your contacts with maybe like 50 to 100 key clients, and that is your business, then Christian's way to do it is by far the best. Yeah, like those printed magnets, that's just genius. And if that's your business model, like a few key relationships, absolutely the way to go. I just wanted to underline this because it's always so tempting to look for this scaling bullshit, the tools, the advertising. But if your audience is this small, then go with relationship building, as Christian says. But let me just take the other side. Yeah, you want to reach 10,000 people. Now you're not printing magnets anymore. And I just take this side and leave Christian the other stuff. So how does it help to convert? First of all, LinkedIn is a beautiful content marketing platform. It has grown from this relationship building tool to something like Facebook, but for business. Everybody there has agreed on, let's do business while we talk to each other, which is excellent. So you have a couple of ways to generate leads there. First of all, you need to position yourself as somebody who stands for a topic, for topics that you want to be known for. And then you can share your insights or other people's insights on LinkedIn, and people will start to follow you, be interested, and some inbound leads are going to come in. So that would be the content marketing approach. The other way to use LinkedIn is to aggressively expand your network. As Christian said, like connecting 30 people per day on your LinkedIn profile in order to expand your audience and to potentially get in touch, maybe demo your product to those people. And the third way is advertising, but that is usually a very expensive play on LinkedIn.
Okay. Very, very good. I mean, LinkedIn nowadays is becoming bigger and bigger. And as Ben pointed out, I remember I was at one of your workshops, I don't know, it was 3/4 of a year ago, talking about LinkedIn and how to use it. And you were talking so quickly to get to 10,000, I think, followers it was back then, because you said it's one of the underestimated platforms still, and that also the whole advertising on LinkedIn will become so much more costly once it has that significance, which it feels it already has, but from a pricing perspective, it's still not where the other platforms are sometimes at. So from that perspective, there's still lots of room to grow into LinkedIn. Just like today, we're actually for the first time sharing this also on LinkedIn because they're catching up on this end as well. I actually like your thought, Ben, to go from the small to the big, so I can also take up the next questions that were asked. So the next one goes to you, Christian. So Omar Sirite asked that they're developing a platform for students in Morocco. So you've engaged with many students before. And he says, in this platform, we give students the opportunity to upload and download university content. How can they get their very first 100 active users? So this could maybe go back to your pictures that you just brought up, or do you have any other insights for Omar?
Can I add just one sentence in order to give him that picture? So we have now a group of 700 people. in Facebook, and we have now 21 emails that we get right now.
21 emails and 600 in the Facebook group.
700 in the Facebook group.
700 in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my first idea that comes to mind is that I would try to talk to those 700 people, or maybe first segment them, or look who are the people in the Facebook group, and then go directly with the messenger, Facebook Messenger, talk to them directly and tell them what it is that you do, like maybe a little short elevator pitch where you tell them what your value is that you want to bring them by being on your platform. And well, for me, like if you want to get 100 active users, I think the first users are always the first active users are always the hardest ones. So I think in the beginning it's important to really to make a connection with those people and to really make interactions. You can use the 21 emails that you have. There you have the contact data, and on the other one you also have the Facebook profile. So I would really try to reach out to them as personally as you can, and really build that connection and tell them who you are, why you're doing this. And I would really say do more than just an elevator pitch that you copy and paste to all 700. I would really take my time and go as personally as possible, and yeah, that would be my ideas.
Absolutely. I think where Christian is going into as well is, especially if you're at this point in your stage early on, it's also to still validate whatever you're doing and understand the needs of that target group. And this also goes one by one to the question that Alexander also asked, if growth hacking can also be applicable to testing business hypotheses. So Christian just touched upon that he would go with a direct contact, get to know them and understand them, and thereby engage them and let them become an investor for yourself. So this is definitely one way to go about it. Ben, on the other hand, how would you say does growth hacking help to test your business hypothesis? I know that you're the biggest fan on earth on landing pages and A/B testing in order to validate what kind of triggers people to join or click. Maybe you want to touch upon that approach. So not the personal level. Now we go on scaling and having many people testing and validating it.
Yeah. So again, I take the position of you have 10,000s of customers, potential customers. Otherwise, what Christian said is excellent advice. So how would I go about it? I personally think that I've seen so many founders work like half a year on a platform idea, and they don't have actual users or people that are interested in. This is why I like the idea of the Facebook group for the student platform very much. It's a super lean MVP. Are people actually willing to share university information? I would consider, in your case, to make it very concrete, to start with a very local university and to get initial traction on that platform. I think this is relevant for everybody. You have to think about, first of all, minimizing the scope. If you have tens of thousands of potential users, you can't afford to have them all or to reach them all. So you have to find limitations in the scope. For example, local limitations. Just add people from one specific university, and that makes it very relevant for them, and it's very much easier to get the critical mass. So what you could do is like a Facebook group, a WhatsApp group, a landing page with a sign up that tells us, hey, we're going to start this this new project in your university. If you're interested in getting free study material, then sign up here. Yeah, who wouldn't sign up for that? And then you can start practicing how to talk to people, like what are the value propositions, how do you need to phrase them, the language, the imagery that you can use in the messages you send, in the ads you may be placing, on the landing page you have set up. And in order to facilitate and to make that easier, there are a lot of tools actually out there. And some other people have been asking about tools. And you can always go looking on Product Hunt. I've sent you a link in the chat to the growth hacking category on Product Hunt. But there are a gazillion categories like landing page tools, analytics tools, CRMs. And Product Hunt, to me, is like my place where I go looking for tools that I have not seen before. And so this is where I go hunting for tools. And on other people's websites that I like, I go to, for example, I would go to studydrive.net. That is the thing that you are doing, want to do just in Germany and internationally. And I just confirmed with a big insurance company here from Cologne that they should be doing an advertising deal for that platform. So there you have the business model already. Companies who are recruiting from universities wanting to get in front of those people and study what are they using, how does their social media look like, how can I make a simplified version of my idea running up and now today. And now you got a whole list of tools that might help you with that as well.
Absolutely. It's kind of funny that you touch upon Study Drive. I also got to know the founders of that back then. We also did a visit of them, and they were talking. They actually started with a kind of a Dropbox. They said they manually used a Dropbox folder and told all of the people. So they kind of took the Christian approach, to be honest. They went to all of their fellow students and said, hey, please, can you provide a summary for this course, and we can put it up here and share it with other people? And then they started building this just with an existing tool. And then they realized, hey, we now have to scale it, take the next step. We've validated it. And then they took the next step. And that's how they kind of ended up with Study Drive. And by now their business model has changed so much because they say they never want to charge students ever. They just want to get the money through different sources from the ones that have the buying power. So they actually found a solution for students, but they're making money of a totally different target group here. So just one way to show how both of the approaches that Christian and Ben kind of touch upon play perfectly hand in hand, and they're not going against each other, but they can be additive in this regard. Maybe I just want to ask, because you just touched upon the tools, because this was also asked here in the chat on which kind of tools are the best to be used by Alexander for growth hacking. Maybe you both, Ben and Christian, you want to give me your top 3 tools that you would consider as best for growth hacking.
Go start, Christian. I don't know how to deal with just 3. I have to think.
Yeah, I have to think about that too.
I mean, you can also name drop a few and just
I will.
Mind on that.
Well, for me, what the tool that I'm using the most right now is actually my CRM called Pipedrive. And I don't know, the CRM, I think most of you know, a customer relationship management tool, which I can really tell everyone that is in sales is very, very valuable. And for me, I've been using Pipedrive now for almost 2 years, and it's a CRM that's focused on sales, where you have a very where you have a sales pipeline that's designed very nice, and you can really see all your leads in the pipeline, and you can set up every stage from your pipeline, and then just like a Kanban system, just pull them over from stage to stage. There are a lot of other CRMs that also provide that service, like HubSpot is a big one. But I really like Pipedrive because it's quite simple, but it also has has a depth in their tools. And yeah, there are a lot of like hacks or specific things that I could tell. Maybe someone has a question about that, but that would be a tool that I use every day, and that is very valuable for me.
But for CRMs, it's so important to know how to use them in order to be able to leverage them and make the best use of them. Especially those tools like HubSpot, they can be so overwhelming in the end. And I can understand that you're going for a different solution as well, because it brings so much complexity at some point. But maybe Ben, you also want to add your 2 cents on your growth hacking tools besides searching on Product Hunt for others.
Okay, I gotta share my screen really quick. So here's a fun one: Google Trends. Yeah, Mick asked the question like, is Xing still relevant compared to LinkedIn today? And here you can see for Germany the development 24 to 20 to today. You can see the red line, that is LinkedIn rising, and that is Xing slowly declining, but way too big to call it off. So Xing is still, if you're working with German SME companies, a very important resource. So it's relevant. It just didn't step up with the times. Yeah, but there are so many companies who have not yet heard about LinkedIn, but I think LinkedIn is the future. So these kinds of questions, like which tool should I use, which development stack, like Google Trends can help me with that. Then WordPress is my default go-to as a landing page building tool. It's good for SEO. It's easy to use. You need something where you yourself can build a landing page without asking an agency for it. Then there are tools like plugins for this, like Sumo, which is like a pop-up tool that helps you to generate email lists and do like welcome mats and A/B tests, different messages. This is my favorite tool to collect email addresses on landing pages. They have I think they used to have a pretty generous free tier. Then people need to land somewhere. Christian suggested HubSpot and Pipedrive. I would add ActiveCampaign. That is the one I went for because I personally can't afford HubSpot. But Pipedrive is a great sales-only tool. And this is a great sales and email marketing tool. Then you need to build a lot of creative stuff usually. And Canva is my favorite tool to create pictures like social media profiles, ads, posters, PDFs, short animation stuff, presentations. You really feel like you're a competent designer after using this for a couple of days. And then the growth hackier stuff now goes into the LinkedIn area. This is linkedhelper.com. It's a great marketing automation tool for LinkedIn, which can help you to expand your network, write messages, use it with care. LinkedIn doesn't like stuff like this being used, but this would fall into the OG growth hacking category. And then I always need some analytics. Yeah, I need Google Analytics for my stuff on the website and on my main platforms like LinkedIn. I like to use a tool that helps me just to stay on top of like which content is working, how fast am I growing, and I discover this kind of stuff, as I said, on pages like Product Hunt. That's it.
Besides Product Hunt, I can also recommend AppSumo as one of those areas where you can get great tools for tools. For example, there was a tool which was more or less one-on-one like Canva, just let's say 1 year behind that, which was called Krell, and you can get lifetime deals that save you so much money over the period of your business. And that's the kind of stuff that you can growth hack and overcome your resource limitations as a founding team, because you always start small, you always have limited resources in terms of human power, financial resources. So those type of tools, some of them like Ben showed as well, they're the ones that you can really use to go big with having a team of 4, which could act like a marketing team of 10. And that goes in every direction of your business. I would like to go for 2 specific questions that came in regards to their own businesses. Also like to call up both in that regard. The first one is coming in by Denny Francis Andari. Maybe you want to directly unmute yourself and ask your question to both of them here.
Yes, thank you. So this is my question basically is I'm building a startup that connects entrepreneurs and investors together here in Nigeria. It's more like a fundraising marketplace. So I've been going front and back. Like what kind of strategy can I use to convince the investors to come on board on the platform?
Maybe Christian first, because this sounds like a one-on-one approach potentially.
Go for Christian. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
Christian.
take it.
Yeah, you have to unmute yourself before you talk.
Can you maybe repeat the question just in one phrase? I just didn't get it from the audio.
So he says he's building a platform that connects entrepreneurs and investors in Nigeria. And what strategy you think can he use to get investors on board onto the platform?
Wow. Well, what are investors looking for? They're looking for a startup that your job is to make startups investable. So they're looking for investable startups, and the question is, like, if I were an investor, what kind of startups do you have in your network, and can you bring to me, basically, and I wouldn't go so broad on this. I would try to concentrate on some niches, because it's a very big topic and there are a lot of niches, but I would try to just like for the beginning have a niche that you pick for startup that you're looking for, and but at the end, the investor, looks for access, basically. And the question is it a VC, or maybe can you give me some more background, because that's like a very big question. Like, how far are you in that regard? Maybe can you specify that a little bit?
Okay, so the thing is, basically, a lot of startups are always looking for funds here in Nigeria. So, and there's a gap between getting to the right investors for your startup. So, there are investors here in Nigeria that kind of they don't want to get on the platform. They believe just come to them on LinkedIn, and thereby you're wasting times of you're not getting the right startup for your portfolio. So that's what I'm looking at. What kind of strategy do you think I can put in place to get the right investor for the right startup? Because I'm thinking of connecting them on the platform together. So majority of these investors feel I should just let them do their own work personally without the platform not being involved. So I'm thinking of strategy that I can put in place for them to come on board and have them stay on board on the platform in case of subsequent deals for startups.
And how far are you in that regard? Like, do you have startups that you have in your network, or like what's the state right now?
The network is not live yet. It's not live yet. But I've been going to investor meetings, talking to investors. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just the audio is not so well. It's hard to understand.
The network is not yet live, but I've been going to investor meetings, talking to investors, and so what they're trying to say is that they don't want the platform. They want me to bring it to them physically. They don't want to join by the platform. They don't want anything that has to do with the platform.
Maybe I also address parts of it, if it's okay for you, Christian, because we also have 3 more questions in the chat, which I would like to address before the end of the session. I think, Adini, what you should be looking at is you have the typical chicken egg problem that you have to take care of. What kind of Christian tried to kind of also tell you, you need investable startups to get investors, and you need to get investors to have the other side as well. So it's really about, in the beginning, if you want to start it small and you're attending those meetings, you can go for a manual process. So this would go into Christian's direction, really get them connected on that basis. And then if you want to scale it at some point, obviously here with the DueDash community, this is exactly what we try to solve as well, helping that matchmaking on a global scale as well. So I think that could give you a good reference here. I would like to take the other individual company question. So thank Adenia. I hope that it brought you some insight here. I would also like to take up the question by Jonas that he asked to Ben. Maybe you also want to quickly unmute yourself, Jonas, and give it a quick explanation of what you're looking for. Then you can directly address your question to Ben as well.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Marcus. My question was, we're a small startup from Cologne. We have a really new tool in the sports market, which we want to push into the market. The market is, or the tool is really new for the market, so we have to build a community around our brand and have to build up a really great trust in a time where we don't have the possibility to do face-to-face work or to show people how our product is really working.
What's the price point of your product?
The price point, it's between 55 and 75 right now, but it raises up with new tools, but right now it's this.
Okay, one-time payment?
One-time payment at the time.
And the main demographic is young, old, and gender?
I think it's 18 till 16. It's really a big...
18 to 60. Okay, cool. How would I go about it? How many product do you have in stock? Like, can you sell like 100 pieces at the moment, or are you not ready for that yet?
We can do that. We sold 16 last weekend. 60 last weekend. So we are able to do that, but we were out of stock out of that. But we have produced a lot, so we are ready to sell 100 right now. So, but we have to grow slower. But that's it.
Okay, I've got a couple of ideas. So this is a very good example of a business that is an e-commerce business limited by stock and not yet a fully ramped up thing. So on the one hand, you want to scale, but on the other hand, you don't want to scale. You just want to get yourself able, so that you can get out there. The fact that you just sold 60 on the weekend is already amazing. Congrats on that, man. I was curious, what was the channel that you used for the 60 sales?
We have three channels. We have Facebook, Instagram, and our community. Our community is really strong because it's the movement community, and we had we built up a affiliate program which starts at the last weekend with a big affiliate partner who's a YouTuber with 200K followers. So we started with that. It was really good. And we find out that this was a trust.
So influencer marketing works for you. Yeah. So what I would do is get the influencers to allow you to use their video and content that they released and that you are now allowed to promote to Instagram stories specifically and to Facebook newsfeed, Instagram newsfeed, Facebook newsfeed, Instagram stories. In your business line, you usually have a pretty decent margin, on the sale of your product. I would assume that you should be able to invest 20% in cost per acquisition, and that way you can really start to think about it in the performance marketing way. If you want to go for the community building way, so I would go for approach number one first. If you can make that scale, you're done. You can produce as much as you want. A bit more creative way would be something like this, especially if you want to start here locally, for example, to start WhatsApp groups. WhatsApp groups have links attached to them. You can start any group on WhatsApp, and then you can invite somebody with a link. And you can there, for example, do the Cologne, whatever your product name is, fitness group, maybe even for a specific niche, and you call out something like the weekly challenge. Have you used our product X times per day? Then and post a picture or a check mark or something like that. Now you can share this link into the local communities around Cologne organically for free. Do not ask influencers because it's going to be too many people. Yeah, WhatsApp groups are limited to 256, I think. And try something in that direction if you want something with more feedback loop built in. But I think you'll just define scaling the shit out of that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but that's a good idea because we want to have traffic and we want to have the trust in our brand, because it's really between trust in the product and a typical sales machine of e-commerce. So it's between this.
So send us your link in the chat, yeah, for later, just for us to take a look at it later.
Also, perfect. Thanks for the question, also for your extensive answer, Ben. I just, for everybody to know, there's just 2 questions left, which I would just really just quickly touch upon, maybe in a few sentence answer here, and then we can also close the session, but it might be still interesting to all of you. Just generally speaking, what would be a cool thing before we then in the end all jump out? It would be a cool thing if you just turn on your video shortly, because I know from Christian and Ben also that they like to see who was part of my session, who kind of I did engage with. And we were just talking about testimonials, putting them out on the internet. So that would be a great thing if you just show your face quickly. Ben and Christian have been there all times talking to a dark wall. But I hope that all of you still derived your value here. While we're doing that, I would just like to address the last 2 questions that were given into the group. So Michael, in the meanwhile, can take a picture of that as well. The one goes to Christian. So here the question was, how do you actually self-validate or do you have an evaluation method for checking your growth hack, whether it was successful or not? Maybe a very short answer on that from your side, Christian. We can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
I know. Well, I would say that's a question for project management. I do use Asana, and I have my to-do in there, and then I check it on a regular basis, or set a time when I want to have it done, and that's how I look at specific tasks that I set for myself, and then I check it when it has to be done.
Right. Good answer.
And just to add, I saw there was one question from Michael for Pipedrive specifically. You can on Pipedrive have a smart data search for your contacts, and in that smart data search also LinkedIn, Twitter profile, and where the person is based is also in that smart data search. That's a feature on Pipedrive.
Maybe also here, as you were touching upon that you're using a project management tool. I mean, obviously, this is always good to kind of keep track as in a Kanban board as you go about it. By the way, for everybody who is in need of such a project management tool, as you might know, we're partnering with different services and startup credits. I touched upon that in the beginning. One of our partners is also Nifty PM, which are building more or less an Asana or Trello in a, from our perspective, even more effective way. We're using this as our project management tool as well. If anybody of you here has an interest, we can provide a great discount on all their plans going further. Because they actually provide so many more features than Asana and Trello for less money, and with our discount even less. So for everyone who's interested in Nifty on PM, we're happy to share this with you as well. Thanks, Christian, for your answer here. And this kind of goes now hand in hand with the last question that I just direct to Ben, which was also asked, is on how to actually validate, how do you come up with new ideas for startups? You've talked about you have 8 businesses started yourself. I know you probably tested, what, 200 businesses? I know you said one business.
150 landing pages, but we had like 500 ideas.
Yeah. So how do you come up with new ideas? Just testing?
Okay. a couple of ways. The way I started in the beginning was to get in the habit of creating lots of ideas. So I had an Asana list, which was called ideas. And I just kept on adding multiple ideas per day. And I noticed the more ideas I generate, the more I'm observing my environment, looking for problems to fix. This is the general mindset that I have. I look for problems that I want to fix for an audience that I like to work with. I used to have a dilemma about should I start with this with the audience first or with the maybe problem I want to start with first. I'm completely sure you should start with the audience, but I'm sure other people will disagree. So think about who you want to serve. Who do you really want to have around you in your life for the next 5 years? And a lot of those people, if you hate your audience, you're not going to build an awesome product. So start with that. And then look for the question, okay, I love this audience. For me, it was gamers. What problem do they have? What could they be interested in? And I saw that they invest like 8 hours per day in training compared to normal athletes just investing 2 or 3 hours a day in training. And there is no curriculum, nothing for esports. So that was a problem that was solvable with this solution. But then we stayed very flexible also with the solution, more focus on the audience than on the different problems, and then be very flexible how you are willing to solve that problem. And I would highly suggest to first start with easy to do ideas, easy to implement solutions, not the multi-sided platform networking solution in the beginning, which lots of young founders are attracted to because they see something like Uber and they see, oh yeah, we need to build this platform stuff, but this is like level 5 shit and you need to start at level 1. The level 1 stuff is building a WordPress plugin, launching an ebook about it. And you can level up over time, but need to start with the simple stuff. This is how I go about my ideation process. If you want something more systematic, look in the direction of design thinking. I think they have figured it out the best. There are many other approaches, but design thinking has the most empathetic framework I've seen so far to generate good business ideas.
Right. I think that's a great point also to kind of close the session, just giving you some ideas on how to come up with the next idea in terms of growth hacking, and then using all the tools that we just talked about today. So from Christian's side, more the personal approach, really building your foundation, building ambassadors around you that can share the word about your product, and then test out your very first hypothesis through landing pages, generate leads, really do some growth marketing around that to build that community and have an engaged community that also stays there and it will not leave you because they're so attached to you, because they have built that trust also in the meanwhile and that connection with you. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's session. Thanks a lot, Christian and Ben, for providing your valuable insights today, also with your 2 different perspectives. I think that was a great fit here for the different questions we had. For everyone, again, who's not part of the DueDash community so far, feel free to join. I also just posted the link directly for the Cologne Founder Sparring Ring. Every month we are having events as of now, monthly AMA events where you can ask your questions to experts, not just on growth hacking, also pitching to investors. We had customer validation before, different areas. So happy to see you there. If you have any further questions to Ben and Christian, they are also both on DueDash. You can also connect with them in different means. Have a look, and thanks a lot, everybody, for joining in tonight, and see you at our next event.